Hey Coach Tim here. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my 4-step framework of how I average 35 points per game and put up 72 points in my championship game. This free training is for youth football coaches, middle school coaches, and high school coaches who really want to elevate their game in terms of scoring performance, all right? This also is going to be a great training to help you get on track and to build a winning culture for your football program. And even if you have a winning football culture already, this is going to help you create sustainability for years to come. So before I get into talking about my framework, I think it's really important for me to talk about how this framework even came to be, or really how I kind of began to master scoring more points. So I first started coaching youth football at the age of 20 years old. And the first year that I started coaching, we had a lot of success. We ended the season as a 6-2 team. We made it to the championship. We lost our championship game in a heartbreaker, 13-6. But, you know, that first year taught me a lot of things that I wasn't even conscious about really until later on in my coaching career. So after that first year of coaching, I ended up moving, and I was still coaching youth sports, and I did some work as an offensive coordinator. But you know, each year I never got to the championship again, and I wasn't getting the outcomes that I wanted, and I really didn't understand why. And you know, my style as a coach personally was wasn't really a social guy. I was kind of me against the world. I kind of had that mentality. So you know, roughly about 6 years into coaching, I got to the point to where I said, okay, I got to figure out why I'm getting mediocre outcomes. You know, where we'll end the season at 500 at best. And so what I ended up doing was reaching out to a head coach on the team for a team we previously played the previous week that whooped our behind. And this coach, what I loved about this coach and his program was that his fan base was behind him, the parents were behind him, the kids were very fundamentally sound, and they had a great system and formations that they was running to really dominate the game. And so I reached out to the coach, and you know, he shared some great advice with me in terms of kind of what he did. And you know, I began to just kind of implement those things over time, and I began to slowly see things change. But I still wasn't really getting the outcomes that I want in terms of scoring. Before I implemented this system, I was averaging roughly about 14 points a game, give or take. And I knew in my league, in order to be really competitive, I needed to at least get to that 21 points per game mark. So I began to implement a system based on me researching and learning from different college coaches, high school coaches, all the way down to even youth football coaches. I began to learn different methods and strategies that I'm about to share with you now that really changed the game for me. And I was able to put a system together, a 4-step framework really together that I call the strongman beast offense that really helped me become a scoring machine. Now I'm at the point where I'm averaging roughly 35 points per game. We have a very dominant offensive system that's built on simplicity, but it's built on power and dominance, all right? So the first thing, though, before we get into this, I want to share with you the first step in this framework sequence before we get into any of the X's and O's, okay? The first step is you want to focus on the culture of your program, okay? You got to be able, before you try to implement anything, you have to get people bought into your system. bought into your philosophy, okay? The very first group that you need to really get bought into what you're doing are your assistant coaches, okay? In my experience, your assistant coaches can sabotage what you're trying to do, what you're trying to implement as a coach. So you have to make sure that you choose assistant coaches that are not simply your buddies, because your buddies can be kind of your biggest adversary at times, depending on who they are. But you got to choose coaches who are bought into your philosophy, who's going all in with your system, and that they know, like, and trust you, and you know, like, and trust them. That's going to be very important starting off. And then number two, you need to make sure that those parents are bought into the system. All right? Because usually parents are fans and they just want to see outcomes and results. But one thing you have to do is set guidelines in place to let the parents know this is your standard, this is what we're going to do. You know, here are the repercussions if, you know, you don't bring little Johnny to practice, or, you know, you get the cussing out coaches and reps and all of that at games. These are the repercussions. So you have to make sure that you're able to get your parents on board with what you're doing. Because if the parents are on board, there's something magical happen. It's something very magical happens when the parents are on board. It becomes a lot easier for you to focus on coaching opposed to focusing on managing them and kind of being a disciplinary or a disciplinarian or a babysitter for them. When you got good parents, they make it easy for you. But the only way you're able to really get them bought into you, bought into your system, is you have to establish a strong standard day one of practice and let them know what you stand for, okay? Because if you try to do it too late, guess what? It's going to be tough sledding to get them to really respect you, okay? And then, you know, number three, to really getting your culture top notch and really becoming the gold standard, is you have to get your players bought in. This kind of goes without saying, but you want to start day one implementing your system. With me personally, I'm always kind of a stickler. I'm kind of a military style guy when it comes down to implementing my system. I want my kids to be bought into fundamentals, discipline, and doing the right things. When I'm talking, I want them to be able to hear everything that's being said. I don't want them zoned out and all over the place mentally. I want them to be a very disciplined, fundamentally sound team. So on day one, I make sure that I establish that standard with our kids. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, as the season goes along, I kind of loosen up a little bit. And I mean, to be honest with you, I'm a lot looser now as a veteran coach than I was when I first got started. But what I've learned is once you know your kids are bought into your system, and then you start beginning to see leaders rise up within your student athletes, it becomes a little easier for you to be able to just focus on implementing your system, your strategy, your game plan, your practice plan, you name it. And a lot of the leaders who rise up kind of help with the accountability factor. Also, your assistant coaches, if they're bought in, they're going to help with the accountability factor as well, all right? And then the last group that you really need to get bought into your culture here is the community. And this is an aspect that a lot of coaches miss. You know, we want to start our football team and we want to start our football program, but nobody really know who we are. And so you have to make sure that you get your local schools involved. Not just one school, get multiple schools involved in what you're doing. Get your local politicians involved in what you're doing, local businesses involved. Because guess what? If you get the entire community involved and behind you, you're going to get opportunities. It's going to create opportunities for your program down the line, especially when it comes down to fundraising opportunities and uh, um, communities, opportunities for grants, opportunities to get exposure on TV. It's going to really elevate your brand overall. So culture is extremely important. All right. So let's go to number 2, guys. Number 2 is you want to make sure you establish the parts, okay? You want to make sure you have the parts and pieces you need to be successful, okay? So for me, in my system, and we're going to talk a little bit about my system in a few minutes, but when it comes down to parts, I'm talking about personnel. I'm talking about your players, okay? So, for me, and we're going to start with the quarterback. For me, I want to make sure that I'm able to have a quarterback that's a dual threat quarterback, okay? That's a high IQ player, okay? That's what I look for in my system, okay? Now, I understand that if you are a youth football coach, sometimes you just have to take what you get. Same thing with middle school and high school. Sometimes you just, you have to take what you get. And sometimes you may not have a dual threat guy. You may have more of a pocket passer, which is fine as well. But the number one thing that I look for when I'm choosing a quarterback, whether it's a dual threat guy or a pocket guy, is I want my quarterback to be a high IQ player, okay? A high IQ player. He doesn't even have to be the main leader on the team, but I need him to be high IQ. Why? Because high IQ players don't make a ton of mistakes, especially if you are teaching them the fundamentals. They learn the field. They know how to read the field. They know how to direct their O-line, direct their running backs and their wide receivers. If you got a high IQ player, whether they're a dual threat guy or a passing guy, it just eliminate a lot of errors. So that's the first step of scoring more points. Is you want to have the person who's going to have that ball the majority of the time. You want to have somebody who's going to give you the fewest turnovers possible and that's going to make the best decisions for you, okay? And then number 2, let's talk about our running backs. So this is something that makes me very unique, and this is, to me, the bread and butter as to why we can score more points kind of frequently in terms of our talent. Is that I don't use just 1 or 2 running backs in my system. I use 4 running backs in my system, guys. I run a beast formation, which is a part of a single wing type of offense, okay? And we do a lot of unbalanced stuff. And, running the beast formation, it allows me to use multiple running backs with multiple styles. And let me break this down. So the first type of running back that I look for is my speed back, okay? I'm looking for a guy who is very fast, who got great acceleration, even someone who's kind of quick and elusive in small areas. I'm looking for that kid because usually that fast guy, he's going to be your most explosive player, okay? And then number 2, what I'm looking for is my power back. That's my personal favorite because I was a tight end and I played a little fullback in junior high. And I was also outside linebacker in high school. So I love physical guys because they don't mind getting dirty and really sacrificing themselves for the betterment of the team. A lot of them anyway. So I always look for a power back or a fullback type of kid in my system because, if I'm trying to score touchdowns, especially short yardage situations, having a power back is excellent. If I'm trying to just play bully ball and control the line of scrimmage, or even have a great lead blocker, having a power back is just vital. It's one of your favorite weapons, and similar to the quarterback, that power back got a tendency to be very reliable to do their job and to make the right decisions in terms of their blocking schemes, okay? And then the third type of kid that I'm looking to have at running back is more of a balanced guy, okay? This is a kid that can make you miss, and he can also run you over. And, I've been blessed to have some really good balanced running backs who I can depend on to kind of, these balanced kids also, let me say this, the balanced kids tend to be great playmakers as well. They'll make a move that you don't expect for them to make. They may run a kid over you don't expect for them to run over. Having a balanced kid is a great fire starter for your team. If you're down or you need something to happen, putting that balanced player into action usually will get the job done for you. So it's always good to have a balanced player. So I look to have those three types right there. And then if you throw the quarterback in there as well and rotate him in, and that again, that's that high IQ player. You got the mastermind, you got the speed guy, the power guy, and the balance guy. Now you're dangerous. Now you're extremely dangerous, and you have a lot of versatility in your system. So, if you want to run sweeps, you can use your speed guy. If you want to run off tackle stuff, you can use your balanced or your power back. And if you want to do more trick plays, you can use your high IQ quarterback. Or if you want to do audibles like I do, you want to have a high IQ player that's not going to make a lot of mistakes in your system. Okay, guys. And so I also now, in terms of our parts here, I want to talk about the receivers, okay? And then we're going to talk about our O-linemen. So in terms of our receivers, what I love with receivers is I love guys who can block, okay? I love receivers who can block and who are great possession guys. So when you're choosing a receiver, find a kid that's similar to your quarterback, that's a high IQ player, that doesn't mind being physical at the point of attack and block, okay, and seal the edge, all right? And then you also want a receiver, and this could be the same kid, okay? You want a receiver who is reliable with catching, okay? My philosophy is I like to do a lot of play action, okay? So having a good receiver who can run routes properly, who is great with catching the ball, that means that guess what? When you do pass the ball, you have a chance to execute on a high percentage play efficiently and effectively, which is huge for you. And now let me talk about the O-line, and this is my favorite. I coach the O-line with all of my teams. I give my skill guys to a running backs coach. I even give my quarterback to the running back coach or my quarterback coach if I have one that year. And I'm here to tell you that I like to focus on my line because I believe the offensive line is the catalyst on winning championships, on scoring points, okay? It's been proven time and time again for me that if I'm having a great season, we're undefeated, I got a great offensive line, okay? If we're struggling or we're right at 500, I got a mediocre to average offensive line. So what I look for, guys, believe it or not, I don't necessarily look for big kids, okay? I don't necessarily look for big kids. What I look for are kids who are bought into the fundamentals, okay? If you got a kid that's able to drive block, gap down, zone block, and they're able to not be afraid to take on that block, they're using great footwork, great hand technique, and they're able to secure that block for my system. I tell them 3 to 4 seconds, guys, you got a great O-line, and they can do that consistently, whether they're big or small. If you teach these kids how to do it properly, and they're able to create these running lanes for those running backs that I was just talking about, you're going to have a good day. So you want to make sure you invest as much time as you can in an offensive line, because in my experience, you're going to have some skill guys who can do great things. But if you got an O-line who can create these running lanes and create opportunities for your skill guys to do what they do best, you are going to be in a great situation to start scoring more points. All right. Now, number 3, let's talk about the engine, okay, guys. In order for, and I know I got some truck guys here, who love the V8 engines, and then you got the twin turbo V6s and then just the V6s, right? So if I had to say my offense was some type of engine, my engine is like a twin turbo, okay? It's what's in the Raptor, okay? The Ford Raptor, for you guys who don't know. That's my offense, okay? And that's my engine. So the system that I use is the Strongman Beast offense that I mentioned before, okay? The Strongman Beast offense consists of the Beast formation, okay? I have roughly 10 different variations of the Beast formation that I run, from the spread to power to more of a bunch to more of a wide set. Guys, I have a gauntlet of variations of this formation where I'm able to use my quarterbacks, use my three running backs, use my wide receivers and tight ends, and optimize the blocking ability of my offensive line regardless of their size, guys. And that's the engine that I go with, because when you're able to take your players and you're able to put them in a position to where you eliminate one side of the field, and this is what I do in the Beast, I eliminate one side of the field and I kind of make this kind of a 7-on-7 game, defenses are in trouble. you know, and it blows my mind that coaches don't do this. They want to have more of a balanced attack, which, not knocking this, but why have a balanced attack and you playing 11 on 11 when you can have an unbalanced attack, eliminate one side of the field, and totally dominate the other side with leverage. And then when teams overload, then you can call your audibles to be able to change plays in the same formation to where it just totally dismantles the defensive strategy. That's what I do. That's what I do. I have a Strongman Beast offense, and guys, make sure you get the free Beast Formation playbook, okay? My playbook is free to you guys, all right? And this is the very playbook that we was just totally unstoppable with, all right, guys? So my attack is a power, uneven set attack, okay? Where I set my guys up in power. I can go wide, I can go spread, I can go bunch, I can go more in a jet set, I can go kind of more even in a read option set out of this formation, okay, guys? And again, just get the free playbook, but you want to have an engine that is efficient for you guys. And guess what? If you implement everything that this framework that I'm talking about, you can still have your own plays. I don't care if you're a double wing guy, spread guy, a gun guy, a West Coast play called a balanced attack guy. It doesn't matter. If you implement your system right, you get your parts right, you get your culture right, and then you get the engine, the right engine to get you going. These are the foundations of what's going to help you start to be consistent in scoring points and dominating your games, okay? If you're not dominating your games, it's because something is going wrong right here, okay? Something is wrong with your framework. You're not executing on your framework. And so, you know, this framework, when all of these are working right, it creates balance, it creates consistency, and it compound momentum, which creates dominance. All right, guys? And then lastly here, the method, okay? The method. And when I talk about the method, I'm talking about my play calling strategy, okay? And this is the bread and butter of how I do things, guys. You know, I line my team up, and we hit them like it's like we're in a boxing match, okay? You know, we 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, okay? And I have a method called the 1-2, 1-2 method that I run that I'm going to share more about in one moment. But the 1-2, 1-2 method, what my whole purpose is just like in a boxing match, I'm going 1-2, 1-2 because I want to see my opponent's weakness. I want to see how they think, how the coaches think, how they adjust. Do they adjust? Because if I'm able to go 1-2, 1-2, let me give you an example. if I'm running 16 power to the right side, right? And then I go to the next side and run 15 power. I flip the play over where we're running 15 power. Okay, now, okay, let's go back to 16 power. Let's see if they adjust. Let's see what they're doing. And based on if the defense is adjusting or they're not adjusting, this is going to dictate if we're going to hit them with a wedge in the middle, hit them with a dive play, if we're going to hit them with jet sweep, if we're going to hit them with play action pass over the top. The 1-2-1-2 method is one of my favorite methods to start at the beginning of the game to be able to get teams really off guard, get them uncomfortable doing what they do best. And it also allows us to be able to exploit defenses, because for me, I use my coaches as analysts. So my coaches, they're looking for the weakest defensive lineman, the weakest linebacker, the weakest cornerback, and the weakest safety. And once we find out those weak areas on their team, now we're jabbing. We're jabbing and we're beating them up. And then before you know it, we're going 1-2-1-2. Then we go with a 3-4, which is a right and left hook, which are our explosive plays. And that's the method. The method is we going 1-2, 1-2, and then depends on what they show us, we may go 3, then 1 again. Or we may go, next we may go 3, 4 with 2 explosive plays. See what we can exploit. This is how you do it, guys. This is my framework. This is how I do it. And, you know, what I decided to do, guys, you know, and the reason why I want to do this free training is I want you guys to win more games, score more points, and I really want you to be the golden standard in your league. I created a course called the Scoring Formula that actually teaches you guys not only the 4-step framework to this, but I teach you the actual process that makes this framework work. All right, guys. So with culture, I'm teaching you how to build a winning culture, how to get your coaches bought in, how to get your parents bought in, how to get your kids bought in, how to get the community bought in, all right? With the parts, I teach you how to identify your quarterback, running backs, your O-line. I teach you that, okay? With the engine, I teach you my exact playbook. I teach you the plays in the playbook, how to run them so you can know how to implement the method successfully, guys. The Scoring Formula. I created this, this program because I know that there are so many coaches out there like myself, how I was, where I was coaching for years and I knew I had the talent to be successful, but I just didn't have the system. I didn't have the process together. And that's what hurt me. That's what messed me up. And then I got some sense about myself and I started getting the help that I needed to be better, okay? Because, you know, for some of you guys, I know some of you, your goal is to win a championship. And then for some of you guys, your goals like me is I just want to have a winning season every year. And I want my kids to improve as they go to the next level as student athletes. I want them to improve as people. You know, that's always been my goal as a coach. But along the way, you know, I've had success to where I've had undefeated seasons. I've had bad seasons. But guess what? When I implemented this system, and then I knew exactly how to go through each of these phases and implement it to where now I got consistency and balance, it changed everything. It changed everything for me. Now my program is known not just locally, but it's known nationwide. I've received awards through by ESPN and State Farm. I have been able to become a head coach in our All-Star games where we play at Bryant-Denny Stadium. For those who don't know, that's the home field of the University of Alabama. I've been able to do that twice. And you begin to just get opportunities that you never had before when you have a good system in place. And so I decided to package together my system. It's called the scoring formula. If you want more information about the scoring formula, just click the link below here, and it's going to give you more information on how to enroll into the scoring formula. That is my master class where I teach you my exact system from A to Z, how to score more points, how to win more games, and also how to become the standard in your league. Because at the end of the day, guys, we do this because we love the game and we love kids and we want to see success, period. We want to see success. So my job is to help you achieve success in your individual league. So if you're interested in learning more about my system, where we deep dive into this 4-step framework where I teach you my exact system, click the link below. And if you like what you see, if you like what you're reading, make sure you enroll into my course, the scoring formula. Also, I'm gonna make sure you get all of my playbooks. I'm gonna make sure you join my free Facebook group if you're not already in there. I'm gonna make sure you're set up for success so you can be the best coach you can be. All right, guys, this is Coach Tim. Thank you so much for watching this free training, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Don't forget to click that button to learn more about the scoring formula. All right, see you there. Have a good day.